I'd like to welcome everyone to the Tyler Independent School District Board of Trustees August meeting. This meeting was previously called to order, and the notice of meeting has been posted in the time and manner required. At this time, we are coming back from executive session, and we always start our meetings with a prayer and pledge of allegiance. So if you could please stand, Aaron Martinez is going to lead us in that.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect our students, teachers, and community. Continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish is for you and in your service. Lord, as we sit on the brink of a new school year, I ask that you be with our children as they return to the classroom, give them wisdom and keep them safe. Please supply them with energy and desire to learn. For our teachers and staff, please provide them with patience and compassion and help them to always have the right words of encouragement for each student. Give our parents willing hearts to serve in the classroom or at home and be actively involved in their child's learning. Let us have a wonderful year for everyone involved in education. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. I have a brief statement I'm going to read here before we get started from our good friend and former trustee, Theralee Washington. Our lives are not fully lived until we are willing to help others selflessly. The ISD Career and Technology Center has become a reality due to the persistence and hard work of many individuals. The center is a beacon of light to those students whom otherwise would be faced with a dark future. Not only can the students benefit, but our community will thrive because of the positive impact that it will bring. I am more than humbled and grateful to have had the opportunity to be a part of making TISD better for our children. By dedicating a wing in my honor, you have allowed my story to be told throughout future generations of students, especially those whom will study in my craft. Thank you isn't enough to convey my ultimate gratitude to the board and all of those involved in making this possible. With my warmest regards, Theralee Washington. We appreciate that, Theralee. Had some great years, many years. How many? 19
as a board
but then a lot more as a principal too. So appreciate that, Theralee. Okay, so next on the agenda is item C, consider evaluation of superintendent's contract.
Mr. Chairman, it is with great pleasure that I move that we employ our superintendent, Dr. Marty Crawford, with a 3-year contract.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second? Thank you very much. Any discussion?
I would just like to say a few words if I can get them out. Dr. Crawford, I am so glad that I was one of the individuals from the school board that what did we do? We interviewed you, and you were exceptional. And I feel that you've done an outstanding job the year that you've been here. And I don't feel that that board at that time, not all of us are present that was on that board, we didn't make a mistake. Because you are one of the best. You came to us from West, all of the trouble that you had over there. You came and was willing to take on the responsibility of TISD and bring us to the state where we are now. And we appreciate you, and we hope you'll be with us for a few more years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will, you have a comment?
Yeah, just the echo fellow members' sentiments about how fortunate we are to have Dr. Crawford, the leadership that he's provided, the new people that he's brought into the district and the way you've reorganized things have set the stage for a great year. We hope that those efforts pay off and increase student achievement here in this next year as we see this great new team have another year at the helm.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
Dr. Crawford, when we interviewed you, you had a lot of grand ideas and plans for our district. And you made us believe that you would do those things, and you have. You are working on those, and you meant every word. And I appreciate that, and I think all the rest of us do too. We know that you are the best. And we appreciate you.
I'll just kind of pile on there. You know how they say a coach, like a college coach, is you can't really judge it till he's had that 4 years of recruiting, and I can't wait to see what this district looks like in 4 or 5 years when you've had some time to implement some of the staffing and programming and ideas that you have, and with our support. I think here in 4 or 5 years, I think we're going to really see what Dr. Crawford's Tyler ISD looks like. So, good job.
I think it's been great for me just to be able to get to know you, and one of the things that I really appreciate you is your attitude, and I think that it bleeds down with all of the staff. And I think you walk around on campus now, and it seems like the teachers and principals hold their head up a little bit higher, and I think it's all due to the leadership up here. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries 7-0.
Amen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for the kind words. It's been a year, so I hope the audience understands, and the not only here at Jack Davis Conference Center, but in the community that leadership's tough, and appreciate the board providing me the room and the space to be able to do my job. And I know that there will be times when we do not all agree, and there may not be these accolades that are given upon renewal. But I hope you understand that what we said last year about loving this part of Texas, that I have DNA from East Texas, and gotten to where I love Tyler ISD and love the community of Tyler, everything about it. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate again that y'all given my family the opportunity to become part of the Tyler community. And that's probably the most important thing that I can say after a year. And certainly we do have we have to move the needle. And I like what I'm hearing here at the dais, and reinforcing the fact that student achievement is the main thing. And I hope my staff over there is hearing the same thing that is coming from here, that this board is going to support us to make that happen. So if we can have exceptional student achievement, we're going to have a happy bunch, not just at the dais, but certainly district-wide in this community. It's time to rewrite the Tyler story, and that's going to be done through student achievement. So look forward to the next few years, and thank you for your support.
All right. I think we had one more motion we did need to make on that.
Yeah, I would move that we place the evaluation completed in an executive session into Dr. Crawford's personnel file.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries also. Okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes. We've got 2 dates there. If I can get a motion to approve the minutes unless you have any changes.
I move that we approve minutes of July 16th and July 23rd.
Very well. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. No changes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. We now come to the part of our meeting designated for a public hearing on the 2015-2016 budget. I don't believe we had anyone signed up to speak on the budget. Did I miss anyone? All right. If not, we will I guess we'll have a short presentation on the budget.
Yes, sir. We have a short presentation on the budget. We'll go ahead and load that up on the screen. Invite Tasha Bjork, our Chief Financial Officer for the school district, to present that information.
Okay, this is our proposed budget for 2015-16. Our revenue sources are state funding, 39%, local tax revenue, 59%. Our school health and related services, or Medicaid, is 1.6%, and then other miscellaneous, 0.4%. For our state revenue, we had a legislative session that ended in June, and we had some changes. When we converted to the compressed tax rate back in '06, we were at $1.42 versus $1.50, and so our compressed rate was pushed back to around 95 cents. All the other districts that were at $1.50 were pushed back to $1. And so they call that fractional funding, and they made us whole so that we're at the same level as the districts were back then. And that was around $1.5 million to us. And then they are taking to the voters this fall an increase in the local homestead exemption from $15,000 to $25,000. But the state is going to make us whole. In other words, they're shifting part of the burden back to the state from the taxpayers. And the state discontinued funding of additional TRS expense, so we had to pick that up. That was about $1.2 million that we had to pick up. So all in all, with our state revenue, it's an increase of approximately $2.9 million. As far as our local property taxes, the increased exemption reduced our local taxes in the general fund $3.1 million. However, we did have a value increase of 1.5% over that. So we have an increase in our property taxes of $1.65 million. As far as the taxes go, the average home value increased from $142,000 to around $148,000. But the exemption is going to increase, assuming the voters approve it, which I'm sure they will, from $15,000 to $25,000, and that will reduce the tax bill. An average homeowner will see a decrease in their tax bill of around $60. If your values don't change, it'll be $137. So if your values are flat, you'll save $137.50 basically. So our proposed revenue increase with taxes and state funding is around $4.2 million. That's a 3% increase from last budget year. As far as the proposed use of funds, for payroll and benefits, the last time we gave a raise was 2 years ago. And so we're proposing a 3% of midpoint for professionals and paraprofessionals, and teachers around a $1,500 raise, and that's around $3.5 million. The bus drivers for our CTC routes, 3 Lakes and Early College High School, was an increase. Custodians for new buildings. With increased square footage, we needed more custodians. We pushed our elementary 22-to-1 grades K through 4. Last year it was K1. Now we've pushed it up to grade 4, 22-to-1. And that's around a $4.6 million increase. However, we decreased payroll at the same time. We had elementary staffing plan adjustments. We adjusted the staffing a little bit at both years. We really decreased quite a few positions in curriculum. And then secondary, we decreased that a little bit too. So we cut more positions than we added. And that was around a $1.9 million decrease in cut positions, increased efficiencies. Another proposed use of funds as far as instruction and instructional support is the MAP software program. Summer school remediation increase, support for improvement required campuses, and that was a net increase of around $484,000. For departmental and operating, we have increased fuel and supplies for transportation for added routes, utilities and supplies for added facilities, property insurance for added facilities and fleet. Our tax assessment and collection fee went up a little bit. Preventive maintenance fund, the 3 cents that we put of the tax rate, that goes up as our values rise, so that went up a little bit. And that's an increase of $1.1 million. So our proposed expenditures are increasing $4.2 million also. It's a balanced budget. Any questions?
We've all seen this, I guess,
Third
three
time.
times now, so thank you, Ms. Bjork. We will move on to the action items. Let's see what page. Yeah, so on page 12, the first action item, anybody want to read that as a motion?
Well, I'll read it. I move that we approve the order expressing the district's intention to redeem certain Tyler Independent School District unlimited tax refunding bonds, authorizing district representatives to estimate the required revenues for the defeasance, incorporate the estimates into the debt service calculations for the 2016 fiscal year, and determine the appropriate levy for future action by this board, and enact other provisions relating to the subject and purpose of the order.
Thank you, Dr. Nation. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 7-0. All right. The next item are the budgets, and need a motion that the board approve the 2015-2016 budgets as presented in the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 2015-2016 budget as listed on page 13 of our agenda.
I second the motion.
All right. Any discussion?
I am happy that we were able to provide our teachers and staff members with increases, and I believe this board is to be commended for considering that, and thank you to Tasha, Ms. Bjork, for working with us in order that we might be able to implement this increase for our faculty and staff this year.
Mr. President, I'd add that commend the administration for creatively reducing in order to fund new initiatives requested by the community during the strategic plan process as well, without requiring new revenue sources.
Very good. Any other discussion? All right. Hearing none. Did we get a second? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. All right. Next, we move to the tax rate, and the administration's recommendation is that we adopt a tax rate of 1.375. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve and adopt the tax rate of 1.375 for the 2015-2016 academic year.
All right. Is there a second?
I guess I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Washington, people are being a little shy tonight.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, I just point out that this is a flat rate compared to prior year, no increase in rate for either the M&O or the INS.
Thank you. Reverend Hager, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries also. All right. Next, we've got an amended budget for the 2014-2015 year. Is there any discussion needed for that?
There's not. This is a cleanup of the, when you start ending your fiscal year, it's a routine management practice.
Okay.
It is
Balancing things
this
out.
time of year, yes, sir.
All right. I'll entertain a motion on the administration's recommendation.
I'll move that we approve the amended 2014-2015 budget.
Very good. Second.
Second.
You want to give that one away?
Get out the way.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes also. All right.
I move we get to the good stuff.
Now we get to the good stuff. Public participation. We have several people signed up to speak tonight. Looks like almost everyone is signed up, or everyone is signed up to talk about the aquatic facility that's on the agenda tonight. I would ask a couple of things of you. If y'all are all going to say the same thing, try to consolidate if you're coming up here, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes or under. And we do appreciate your input, though. And the first speaker we have tonight is Sam Mosaic. If you can come on up to the podium, and appreciate you coming.
Thank y'all for letting me speak. My name is Sam Mosaic. I reside at 7750 Holly Tree Drive. And I'm speaking about the Aquatic Center. I appreciate this board taking this matter up. Having been I'm born here in Tyler, grew up in Tyler. I'm a product of Tyler Independent School District. I got to see my English teacher, senior English teacher back in the back, Mr. Severson. I understand he's just retired, but I appreciate this board taking this up. This has been an issue that's long overdue. The facilities in the city of Tyler, I'm not saying this, the TISD facility, but the facilities in the TISD and in the whole community have been lacking. Tyler's I think one of the best cities in the United States. It's a growing town, and it lacks this world-class facility that y'all are talking about, constructing. And so I applaud this board. I understand. I've served 6 years on city council just recently. I understand how hard it is to take up sometimes controversial issues and to make decisions on them. But ultimately, I've always strived on what was best for the community, not what's best for me, not what's best for my family or my business or any individual group. I always made my decisions based on what was best for the community at whole. And I believe this facility is needed. And to support that, during my time in the city council, actually even prior to my time on city council, the city has what's called the half-cent sales tax program, where the city adopted under Mayor Eltype at the time, half-cent sales tax to pay cash for capital improvements of the city. And with that, how do we come up with programs? What projects get decided on? So the city put together community groups, task force, grassroots type meetings all over the city to come up with this list of projects. And on this list actually is a natatorium for the city of Tyler. So I believe that there's citywide community support for this type of a project already exists in the city. So it currently ranks roughly about 30th on the city list, only because I think the city allotted a smaller amount to go to a project like this. And I think after realizing what was needed, the funds that they allotted back years ago would not actually provide for the natatorium. But But it's still there. It's roughly about 30th on the project list, but it is there. So support there is community support already, not just by, small groups. And what I'd like to see, if this project, when you talk about this and if this comes to fruition, some sort of program that all TISD students can go through. And basically it's like a Learn to Survive in the Water program. I don't know if you've seen how many drownings we've had in our surrounding community. And when you have disadvantaged children or people are not used to being around water, they sometimes go out to the state park, they go out to some lakes, they're not used to, they don't know how to swim, they don't know how to survive in the water. So I would ask that at some point, this might be a program for the future to where if y'all do this, that I'd like to see that looked at where a program for every child in TISD could actually come through and just learn to, not to learn to swim, but at least learn to survive in the water. I think that would be a great community asset for the future of our citizens. I appreciate you again for letting me talk, and I'll be brief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Jennifer Vick.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Jennifer Vick. My daughter will be a sophomore team member this coming school year for Robert E. Lee. She's been part of the TISD swim program since 7th grade. She's blossomed as a swimmer and a positive source of encouragement for her teammates over the past 3 years. And last year, she placed second place in district for the 200-meter freestyle, fourth at district for the 100-meter butterfly, and was first alternate in both events at regionals. This was a huge accomplishment as a freshman, swimming against varsity team members. She has dreams and aspirations of swimming at a collegiate and even a professional level. Her choice university is a Division I level, which will entail many extra hours in the pool, and it needs to be functioning for that reason, to continue to build her strength and her endurance. The current facility will only hold her back from reaching these attainable dreams. As a district that strives for all students to reach academic excellence and grow as valuable community members, under the leadership of their educators and mentors, why would you hold these swim team members back from their gifts and talents in the water? As mentioned before, the current facility is in ill repair. It has been for over a decade. The pool was closed almost weekly last school year due to maintenance issues. The heater, the pump, the pipes, the landlines, and the list continue to grow weekly. The students lost precious time each week in the water due to these issues. We were not even able to host a swim meet at our current location because of space issues inside and out. And who knows if the pool would be functioning on the day of the meet. How embarrassing. Our girls team still placed first in district for the 9th straight row in the year. Our boys team placed second. Just think how well they could do at a regional and state level given a functioning pool. Robert E. Lee High School also moved from UIL Division 5A to UIL Division 6A. They now compete against larger Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex schools who spend every day in the water, turning out varsity swimmers that make the junior national team, which leads to Olympic swimmers. We as a district have the same opportunity with the same strength in our swimmers. All it would take to help my daughter and her teammates attain their long-term goals would for you as pillars in the community to vote for a functioning pool into existence as the starting block of their success stories. Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Rebecca and Haley Pitts. Hallie? I knew it was one or the other.
Hi, my name is Hallie Pitts. I'm excited to begin swimming for the 3 Lakes Gators next year. I have swam for the Tyler Swim Academy for 3 years. This is my mom, Rebecca Pitts, who volunteers for the Tyler Swim Academy.
Swimming has had a huge impact on our lives in many areas, but we want to share a couple of very important lessons we have learned through swimming.
Dana Vollmer, an Olympic swimmer, once said, "It's what you do with the rough patches that will define the athlete that you'll become." She was absolutely right. Swimming has taught me how to deal with the highs and lows through victories and defeats. I am very competitive, and the defeats are very hard. But when I'm in a rough patch, I have to dig deep and work even harder. I have learned to control my emotions and look for the positive side of the situation. When one of my best friends beat me out by 1/10 of a second in the 500 free, my first reaction was to be upset. But when my mom told me I had achieved my personal best time, I realized there was nothing to be upset about and that I had found the bright side to the situation.
I believe Dana's quote about rough patches applies not only to athletics, but to life in general. Hallie had a different kind of rough patch this summer when she was training for a triathlon. She had a bike accident and broke both of her arms. She was out of the pool and in full arm cast for almost 2 months. And I've never been so proud to see how she reacted to the situation. She was able to find a bright side to the accident and focus on how she could improve herself. In the hardest moment, when she realized that she would not be able to swim for several weeks, she looked at me and asked, "What's God's plan for my life?" It wasn't long until she started sharing with me all the possible plans God had for her. Now, I believe most children, and even adults, would have gotten really down in that situation, but she was able to find something good in a very rough situation. The ability to remain positive in difficult situations will translate to all areas of life, and I credit swimming with laying the foundation for this in my daughter's life.
Give 100% 100% of the time. I'm not sure who originally said this, but we say it a lot in my house. When you practice for an hour and a half and have a really tough workout, it would be really easy to not give it 100%. But if you do that, you won't succeed. I may not always be the fastest in the pool, but my coaches taught me to always give it my all, and I will keep improving and reach my goals. In 5th grade, I had been working on my science fair project for a long time, and I had just about decided that what I had done was good enough. My mom reminded me about giving it 100%, just like in swimming, and I kept working to make my project the best it could be.
Swimming has taught Hallie to give 100% in all areas of life, including academics, and it's paid off. She actually won that 5th grade science fair. Swimming is not just a sport, it's a life changer. Teaching children how to deal with rough situations and give 100% will create productive and positive adults. Having a proper facility to do this will have an impact on a countless number of children and future leaders in our community. We appreciate your time.
Thank you both. Our next speaker is Scott Eckert.
I have the unfortunate opportunity to follow that. Hallie well spoken. I saw her science project and it was awesome, by the way. My name is Scott Eckert. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak tonight. Let me start by saying I am a strong supporter of TISD, and I will support the Board of Trustees and the district in whatever decision is made in regards to this construction of either a new natatorium or an outdoor swim facility. As a member of the Tyler swim community, I hear rumors about possible solutions being drawn up to address the dire need for a new swim facility in our district. Of course, we all desire an indoor natatorium, such as the beautiful facility our district rivals have in Rockwall, or the soon-to-be state-of-the-art facility Garland ISD has in the works. I know in the current financial climate, a natatorium in Tyler may not be a feasible option, and that consideration is likely to be given to an outdoor facility. I am the father of 3 students here in TISD, all of whom have an interest in swimming. My son Sam is in the 6th grade and about to begin his 3rd year of club swim. He is excited to soon be a part of the 3 Lakes Gators swim team. He talks pretty regularly about swimming for Robert E. Lee. He set some lofty goals for himself, and one of those goals is actually every time he walks into the natatorium and sees the record board, he wants to have his name on it one day. But as a physician, and more importantly a parent, I have some potential medical concerns that I want the board to consider when allocating funds for a new facility. Sun exposure is a risk that is encountered by many of our athletes in TISD, and let's not kid ourselves, we live in Texas, and we all know how much how detrimental too much sun can be. Most of our athletes get to wear clothes, which largely protect them from the sun, but swimmers, especially males, have the majority of their bodies uncovered during all forms of training and competition. You guys are lucky I didn't wear my Speedo up here to demonstrate. Participation in outdoor water sports has some other inherent risks from sun damage because hydrated skin is actually more susceptible to UV radiation than dry skin. And we all know UV radiation is the cause of precancerous and cancerous lesions. Swimmers are at an additional disadvantage because the UV light from the sun actually hits their body from every direction in the water as it reflects off the bottom of the pool and off the surface of the water. Sunscreen is a viable option to counteract this exposure, but do we really expect preteens and teenagers to adequately apply and then reapply the appropriate amounts of sunscreen all over their bodies every day they train? Practices for many of our athletes and swimmers may be held in suboptimal times of the day, and in light of the known risks of long-term sun exposure, I think it would be prudent for the board to consider some type of covering or architectural membrane if an outdoor pool is what you decide on. I've lived in Tyler long enough to know that when we build something once, it rarely gets addressed again. And my hope for my own children, as well as other children in TISD and the future swimmers of TISD, is that we build a facility that rivals others in our district as well as the state. Because we are a 6A district, and I believe it's time we start acting like one. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, last speaker, Denise Lewis.
I think everybody said everything very well. So I'm going to say thank you all for all that you do and continue to do. I graduated, our daughter just graduated, and I know that y'all want to see this program continue and succeed. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the rest of the agenda. If you guys are interested in stepping out, you can do that, or you can stay for another few hours and hear about school board information. Either way. All right, business, legal, finance, consent agenda. First thing I think we want to do is a motion to table item G. If I can get a motion from a board member.
I'll move that we table item G.
All right, a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Dr. Crawford, we want to pull J.
Yes, we do want to pull J for a separate presentation. That is the consider approval of designating funds for the design and construction of a proposed aquatic center,
Okay.
i.e. competition facility.
Anybody else have any items they would like to pull?
Comment on one.
You want to comment? Yeah.
One comment also on item K.
Yeah.
We're happy to announce that as part of this consent agenda that the option agreement contract with Trinity Mother Frances hospitals and clinics for stadium naming rights and our athletic trainer agreement is included in this consent agenda. We're very excited and very appreciative of our relationship with Trinity Mother Frances for the past 10 years in their sponsorship, and we're excited about bringing a recommendation to the board to extend that agreement for future years of a solid relationship as they support our student athletes in our district.
All right. Thank you very much. We will pull item B, which is our gifts and donations. But unless anyone's got anything else, we will entertain a motion to approve items A, C, D, E, F, H, I, K, L, and M.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries. So we've got a couple of items on B for the gifts and donations.
We have
go
on
ahead.
page 28 in your agenda and up on the screen we have a amount of $6,000 from the Robert E. Lee Volleyball Club The recipient for that would be the Robert E. Lee volleyball team. $6,000 from the Robert E. Lee Kickers Club. The recipient of that is the Robert E. Lee soccer team. We are extremely appreciative of all of our parent groups and community relationships that we have out there that support our student athletes in all of our clubs and our athletic programs, and having these funds available for use by our students.
Thank you, Dr. Crawford. I would echo that seems like some of these programs are the last ones to be allotted money under the budget. There's a lot of academic needs in this district, and but without the extracurriculars, I know personally I wouldn't have been near the student I was just by being able to be part of extracurriculars. So we appreciate all of these volleyball club, kickers club. We know there's a lot of time and effort put into raising money, and certainly we do appreciate it. All right. I will, let's see, motion on approval on item B.
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we approve the gifts and donations to the Robert E. Lee volleyball team and soccer team.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Next we go to item J.
You approve consent agenda?
I think we
already do that?
We did.
I think we did.
Oh, we did already?
Yeah.
You're right.
Hey, I get
You're rolling.
so. Yeah,
Okay,
we're down
this-
to J.
Item J is the consideration and presentations that you guys can ask questions on. A little bit of work that the school district has done on the investigation on where we move, or where we go forward as far as a competition swim facility for our student athletes. As many of you know, if not all of you know, the condition of our current situation located off of Copeland, or New Copeland, or Copeland, is something that's the shelf life is deteriorating fairly rapidly, and it's something that we're going to need to address in the near future, if not immediately, due to some of the concerns that have been presented tonight. Tonight we have Tim Loper along with the guests that will actually take us through this presentation for board consideration, comments as well, along with Greg Priest, Director of Athletics. Mr. Loper, if you'll introduce everyone that's with you, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Crawford. I know despite that y'all think that I'm an expert at everything, I did have to bring some real experts. Back in, on the 22nd June board meeting, you guys approved us to enter in a contract with Corrigan and WRL to look at some conceptual designs and budgets, and they've been busy doing that. To my right here, going across the table this way, is Travis Bozick with the Grading Corporation, Steve Hulsey with Corrigan, David Detton with WRL, and of course y'all know Greg Priest. So we're going to do a short, brief presentation. Steve is going to explain this presentation to us, and then we'll answer any questions that you have after that.
Thank you, Tim. Dr. Crawford, Board of Trustees, glad to be here tonight. The presentation that we're going through is a conceptual design that we've worked with together as a team to come up with a solution that you see. And so the site plan that we have here, just to orient you, is that north is up, Earl Campbell Parkway is to the south here, and this is the existing CTC building. This is the existing automotive building that's out there right now, and the existing parking. So what we've done is place the pool facility just to the east of the existing automotive building. What we've done, first thing to get to the facility, is utilizing the existing parking that's at the CTC Center, creating a new walkway and a crosswalk to get to the entry to the pool facility. This is the pool itself, and as you can see, we've got an area for a fence around there. We've also got an area for potential expansion, and I'll explain that in a second. So here's a kind of a blow-up of that area itself. So what we've done is design this facility and design the layout so that we have the functions, which I'm going to show you close-up view of the building proposed. But the functions of the pool, we have the 50-meter pool here, and then we have the pool deck that's this line. Outside of the pool deck itself, you'll see we have some areas for seating, spectator seating, but then we have all of this that you see as white space, open space. So what we're doing here is that we're designing this facility so that sometime in the future, this will not preclude you doing other things out at this site. We're putting in the infrastructure and designing the pool so that if you want to put a cover or you want to build a building around it at a future date, you can do that. And that's what this open space is that we've designed around there for. We're putting a fence around the entire facility, and then you can't see it because it's pretty light, but these 4 light posts that you see here, we're going to put some lights out there for after hours functions so that it'll shine on the pool area itself. Is there any questions about that? Also, we've cut into the existing curb on the north side just to make a little drop-off area right near the front entry, which is, this is what we're calling the front entry, the main entry to the pool. As we zoom in and look at the buildings itself, so the buildings that we have, north is still up. That's the drop-off area I was talking about before. So you'd come in through this control area, have a couple of gates. This control room would be, it could be a ticket booth, it could be a concession area, whatever you would want it to be. It's multifunctional with a big storeroom behind it. You come through the gates. This is the pool deck, and the pool is right here. So you come around through the gates. You have the pool equipment room here, and then the pool storage for all of the things that they need to run the pool. Itself has its own storage room right there adjacent to the pool. The office for the coaches, room enough for a couple coaches in this office. Electrical room, a technology room, water fountains, and then visitor restrooms. So we have 2 restrooms here that are unisex for the visitors, spectators. And then we have a boys and girls locker room. They're both set up exactly the same. A vestibule, a locker room area with lockers and benches, and then a restroom facility that goes with it. This is the boys' side that has a couple of fixtures, a couple of sinks, and then 3 shower units. The girls is set up exactly the same. In talking to the district, we will set up the lockers. We still have some more detail to do there, but we can get, there's room in there to put lockers, or we just have smaller lockers with hooks. We're still working through that option of what to put in those locker facilities itself. So what we wanted to do in the design of this facility was make sure that it fit in with the existing CTC center and was part of the family of this whole site. So here's a proposed elevation. So this would be standing on the north side of the site looking back to the south. There's the existing automotive building. So what we're proposing is that the building, we utilize the same dark brick that we have at the CTC center, as well as the same metal panel that's at the CTC center, in order to tie it all together. So this will look like, and it will be part of the existing CTC center. The site will be all unified, and the aesthetics of the facility will be all unified. Right there is the little open breezeway that goes into the pool area itself. That's the pool equipment building, and then this is the locker room building on that side. And then looking at it from the pool and looking back towards the building itself, you can see these would be, there's the water fountains, the visitor restrooms, and then the locker room areas, all accessible from right around the pool. The one thing I forgot to mention on the site plan that I'll go back to real quick is that in the placement of this pool on this site, we wanted to make sure too, because for any future functions that might happen to the CTC, you might want to expand it or do something else out at that site, this area right here is still kept open for any kind of future functions or anything that might want to happen at the CTC Center tomorrow, 10 years from now, 50 years from now. Still have opportunities to do more things on this site. And with that, I will open it up for questions.
All right, thank you. Reverend Mason?
Yes, sir. Thank you for your presentation. However, I have a few questions. Were you asked just to propose a pool that was not covered?
We've been working on this for about 1.5 years with Tim and his group, and went through multiple options. And we did look at options before that had a cover on it, and we've been looking, and we've come to this option being the best option for this time of what we've been designed. So
I personally would love to see several options that we might look at and make decisions about. I heard Dr. Eckert tonight and our former city councilman and the concern and thinking of the children and perhaps lessons year-round and the ability for us to be able to take care of these programs. Year-round would mean a cover. It would need a cover. I just think it's best to, I think personally, and the other board members can speak for themselves, that we see several options that we might have the opportunity to make a decision by.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion, board members?
And I might say, if we're going to do it, let's do it right the first time. So if we're going to spend our money, let's have quality if we all agree that that's the direction we want to go in.
Mr. President, if I could ask Coach Priest to talk about the expansion opportunities for other parts of the community that currently can't swim that this pool would offer, in terms of the middle schools and the high school that doesn't have access to a pool right now.
The main thing, probably the vision for the pool is to, one of the abilities is to expand to John Tyler. So provide the opportunity there. Right now, we currently just have one team at Robert E. Lee, but being able to make that expand out to John Tyler. Also increase our middle school participation. Right now we have several, I think Moore and Hubbard have been the schools that have participated. Now we're bringing on 3 Lakes, but we really haven't offered it to the other 3 middle schools on the other side. So being able to expand it to there. Also in our elementary schools, I know we've talked about and we've gone through different things, different types of programming we've tried to use there, but really trying to open it up for water safety classes and learn to swim. So, and as they mentioned earlier today, that has been in the works of trying to work that out to where every kid comes through and is able to take those type of classes. So being able to get that learn to swim and safety class. So that's our biggest vision is trying to expand it to that. And then outside, once we're able to get outside, I know we have a lot of different activities that we'd like to use it for, as far as just for fitness and different things. So, but it'd be able to open it up to the community.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask the question, Mr. Priest. You were saying that we would like to open it up to other schools like John Tyler and some of the schools on the north side?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, are you going to try to do that this school year? What's the plans on that? Have you thought about it?
Well, currently, I guess, we have one swim coach, so I guess it's 3 Lakes has shown an interest. The other schools have not shown an interest yet. So, it just really hasn't been, and I'm not sure if hasn't been introduced to them at the current time, but as we get a bigger pool, it's pretty tight, so there's not a lot of room for, I think you've got one swim coach, I think he's got 30 kids maybe, and that is a really crowded pool with 30 kids in there. And so it's pretty, he does a great job with what he's given, but the more we can expand, the more kids we're able to provide opportunities to.
I think there's several constraints right now, one being, as you've said, the size of the pool and the number of kids that can be in the pool at any one time. Currently, the district does not provide transportation for either high school or middle school swimming.
That's correct.
And so for a child to participate, it requires a parent to bring them to and from school to the pool, which limits access to the pool. And that's one of the advantages of the CTC Center with busing running from both high schools to the CTC. It's going to open up some doors for transportation for parts of the community who don't have a parent who's willing to pick them up and bring them to the pool.
Yeah, I think currently right now, the swim teams are swimming anywhere from 5, probably about 5 a.m. I think they run 2 practice sessions from about 5:30, and then they go through first period at Robert E. Lee, and then there's a break. And then the middle school kids come in probably around 2:30, and so They're scheduled their PE classes. They move those to that last period to give those parents the opportunity to come and get them and then come and take them over to the swim facility. So you know, you're correct on that. And so, and then after that, later in the day, then you have the club teams that come in. So the facility is used from basically, what would you say, 5:30, 6 a.m. all the way up to about 8 o'clock at night.
Okay, another question here. Well, an observation. I would like to see this program presented to the other schools. Someone goes in and talk about the program. You don't know how many people might be interested in wanting to be, you know, to go to the swim facility.
Yes, ma'am.
And if that's so, parents can get them there if they're interested. I worked at Hubbard for a long time, and parents would come during the day and pick the students up and carry them right around the corner to the swim facilities. Now, if people are introduced to the program, let's let them decide if they want to be in the program. Let their parents decide how they will get them there until we can make better transportation.
Yes, ma'am. We can make that accommodation.
Okay.
I might just step in here and say that I think that is why we're talking about this. That pool is, if we tried to add any more kids, it seems like, one, the building itself is falling apart. The pool's like sliding down a hill, quite possibly literally. To put more kids in there is almost, you know, not a wise thing to do. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be. The present pool.
I'm talking about the future facility.
Exactly.
Oh,
No,
it's
absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, the future, not the present right now.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to kind
But
of
we need
make
to
sure
start
we're
working on it now.
all on the same page. And secondly, while we're at it, okay, I know this outdoor option, obviously we'd love to have the mecca of all swimming facilities, but at some point in our past, we tried to propose this as an option to the public, and it was a hot button issue that failed. Therefore, 2002. Therefore, you know, since then, I think the boards after that were kind of scared to even add it onto any sort of bond election, and it's looking like we're going to have to go this alone. Since our present facility is failing and those kids need a place to swim, because it might not be open half of the week most of the time in its current shape. So it looks like we're going to have to go this thing alone, so we have a limited budget, I would imagine. I mean, because money doesn't grow on trees, we have a limited budget, and we got to get these kids in a pool. Therefore, the outdoor option might be the best way to start, but if we can design it in a way to put some big sunshades up, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of options out there. Maybe set ourselves up to maybe cover it one day and have an auditorium, but we got to get these kids a place to swim. I think that's what I'm gathering, because one, there's health issues, and two, I mean, that might not even work, and three, that facility is a residential facility. It's not even, the kids apparently can't even practice proper starts, yet they have managed to be at the top of the district like every year in existence. So I just want to speak to that, because Ms. Mason, you know, we got to get something quick, and I don't know that we have the money in the budget to do something grand to go alone.
I think Mr. Loper or Coach Priest or Dr. Crawford could comment on kind of orders of magnitude of the cost of, for example, what Garland has recently done and what Rockwall did, which I think speaks to your point, Mr. Washburn, about what's possible for us outside of a bond election.
Sure, I'll comment on that. You know, Garland just passed nearly a $500 million bond election for an upgrade of a lot of their school facilities, including that was an auditorium. Those are ballparking in anywhere from $20 to $25 million a facility, I believe, for a pretty basic competitive pool. Just to refresh the board's memory, last year, 16 months ago, we investigated this project and see what the proposal could turn out to be. And when we got there, we had talked about the district earmarking a couple of $1 million to partner with any community interest that might be garnered. But since during that time the oil and gas boom has subsided and folks are not as generous with their philanthropic dollars as they were. So in saying that, we knew we had earmarked $2 million to address this 16 months ago. And when we started having these issues, and Coach Priest and I were able to really take a look at that facility and seeing what the shelf life was of that. Both he and I prioritized that, started looking at our fund balance and our budget, and our dollars that we'd earmarked for special projects, and looked at that and met with Mr. Hager before he was actually on the school board, and talked about some of the needs that the facility would require. And walked out of that knowing that if we couldn't have everything, what was the basic thing that we needed to get right? And that was the pool. This length of pool, which is this an Olympic-sized pool? Is that what we're calling this? This Olympic-sized pool eats up that $2 million that we're talking about that the board originally allocated. And to decrease it down another size, what's the other size?
25 meters.
25 meters is about $500,000. So if you got to 1.5, the question was asked, if we went to a 25 meter pool, decreased it by $500,000, could we cover the thing with a $4 million budget? If that's what we allocated was $2 million more, and the answer is no. We've gone through this process before, trying to figure out what the facility would cost us, and it was ballparking in last year, 16 months ago, it's $6 to $8 million, from my understanding. So that's, covering it with an actual natatorium style where everything's temperature controlled, climate controlled, was ballparking it at $6 to $8 million. It'd be a very basic facility, and couldn't do the hosting of meets like we're proposing to do with this Olympic-sized pool. So that's kind of a history of it. We've also considered a dive well. Did we need to put a dive well area in, a dive area in? Because you have to have certain depth for that. That's another $500,000 to engineer the pool to have diving. So I think we've investigated some of these. We'd be more than happy to bring back a proposal or other options for the board, but we're kind of stuck in a rut on this because of the actual facility. We were able to program in some dressing facilities, the restrooms that are appropriate, and I think there's been some concerns that have been raised about outdoor sports, and certainly we were very aware and concerned about that. But again, tonight was kind of a culmination of what we've been able to gather over 16 months, and understanding that construction costs have done nothing but gone up since we've last addressed as far as a natatorium being built. So certainly rock walls I think came in at $19 million. Garland's is coming in at $20 to $25 million, and we're not asking for that for when we can't sustain that. We trying to go at it alone, as Mr. Washburn said.
My concern is that we see the options, that we have something in writing stipulating, see, I'm just hearing from you that there will not be a diving board. So this is just a plain pool and we dive off the embankment, so to speak.
No, ma'am.
You'll
have starting blocks.
You'll have the
I'm
starting.
talking about an actual springboard diving pool that you dive into the pool. We don't have a dive program right now. We have in the past. Or do we have divers right now? We have divers right now. But they do not.
In the past, we don't have it.
Okay, excuse me.
All right. When we publicize that we are going to, and I'm for it, I want these young ladies to know who spoke tonight. I went 3 days to swimming class and flunked the third day when they told me I had to push out from the bank and I saw all that water. So I see the importance of children having swimming classes. If someone has spent the time with me and walked me through it, went out there with me, I might would have completed it. So I would love to see all students participate. That's the second thing. The third thing is, and I know it may cause a problem with your scheduling, but the third thing is, if we say we're going to build a pool, let's not say we're building it just for the swim team. Let's say to the community, we're building a pool for Tyler ISD, please. Okay.
Other comments?
Just echo what Reverend Mason said. A child from poverty is 4 times more likely to drown than a child from the middle class. 70% of adult African Americans cannot swim, and so it is a very important community issue for all of the kids in our district, and more than just the kids who are currently on the swim
Maybe
team.
even board members.
So what I'm hearing, Mr. Priest, is that we can incorporate swimming lessons, teaching children how to swim in a facility like this?
No question. I mean,
Okay.
I think, and just being able to give the opportunity. I mean, one of the things of having a coaching change this year, one, it allowed us to get a fine young man to come in and coach our team coming up, but also through that change, it made me go to the pool a lot more, and I got to see with Fritz and trying to see what all we had. But that thing was occupied all summer with swim lessons they started at, I think, at 8 o'clock in the morning, ran all the way through the day. They had swim lessons. So, just given the ability to get more people in the pool, more kids, just provide more opportunities. But, as Ms. Washington was talking about, that is the vision of being able to go out and go to Bolter, to Dogan, to Hogg, to all the other schools that have not had that opportunity. That will enable us to be able to do that. And currently I think we've had a few student athletes that have wanted, maybe from John Tyler, and then since they do not have the swim team, they transfer over and they wind up going to Robert E. Lee. That will enable us to get a swim team over at John Tyler. I know Dr. Gay has shown a strong interest in that. But just being able to provide the opportunity to all the elementary schools and be able to get those kids to learn to swim lessons, all those different things, water safety, that will provide so much more opportunity for kids. And just being able to publicize it. It just will. I've seen how that thing works. It does. We lose a lot of days. I don't think if you called Robert Grant and I have a conversation almost daily on problems that are going on in the pool, from just the guts of it. Just everything. We're constantly having to call East Texas Pools, but the thing is, you can't get anybody to work on it right now. So it is a steady. It is just an ongoing issue, and it is really one that needs to be addressed. But because when things go wrong, it shuts it down and it's out, and so you have to cancel things for the day and so we're in a need for a pool, but it will definitely give us a lot more opportunity to get a lot more kids involved in the swim program, and not just the swim team.
All right. Any other discussion on this? Questions for them? I've got a few. Did you look at, and this has gone on for years, I'll just say. Y'all have maybe not been involved for years. You have been involved for years. I've been around informal discussions for years, at least since I got on the board in '99. We are to a point now, though, where if we're going to have a program, I feel like we've got to do something. We have waited and pushed and waited, and we're down to the end. We either need to get rid of the program or we need to do our job and support the program. It's to that point. The reason I feel like y'all are coming to this with this recommendation is that you don't feel like the board wants to spend $8 million on a pool right now. Am I correct? That's kind of, y'all looked at that. You've talked about that option. That's what led you down to this uncovered option, is that we must, if we're going to have swimming, how can we do it? How can we do it where the kids can be effective and still afford to do what, unless the board sits here and tells you, double it and get it done. Is that right?
That is exactly right, Mr. Bergfeld. And this is the best shot in the 15 years that I've been here, and this pool has been brought up every year that I've been here. And I think this team has done a great job of building as much flexibility in this pool as we're presenting it to you tonight for not only the swim lessons and the life safety, which you do with different depths of the pool. You can do plateaus in the pool for the younger children, deeper for all your racing. We've got a bulkhead in the middle of the pool. You can have 2 teams going at the same time. So we've tried to build every bit of flexibility for the money that we feel like we have. And I know that WRL has scrubbed the numbers. Steve has done a great job. Brandon's done a great job. And we have the options to cover it at a later date and put a conventional building on it. So we're building it for the future and with a lot of expansion in it. But you're exactly right. That's what we have, and we feel like.
And my question to you is, you're building an outdoor pool in Texas where it's 100 degrees half the year, and then it's, 40 the other half. Is that sane?
I think I'm going to let Travis answer that. I know that there are pools out in Texas that are outdoors. Bryan ISD is one of them. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure of others, but I don't think we'll have a problem heating the water.
Actually, your alma mater has an outdoor competitive pool at SMU.
There's Mission, Texas has one. Carrollton.
Pampa. And they swim.
They're more extreme than we are.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, when we looked at this, and again, we spoke with some folks that have a lot more expertise than we did. We asked about what were some of the things that we called Brian. How do you keep it? I've always wondered, how do you keep it warm? I've been there for a regional volleyball tournament in my previous job, and there's kids swimming on a 40-degree day, and I thought, man, that's pretty brave. But in asking Brian, they put a radiant blanket over it, and of course it's controlled, the temperature controlled, and so there's some thermal engineering that goes along with the pool that's allowed to keep it at a somewhat competitive temperature. I think that there's a thermal blanket of air that's above a pool when it has been controlled. That during colder weather, the outside temperature might be a little chilly, but the water is certainly the controlled temperature along with a radiant there too. I'm saying a lot of things that I don't know much about, but in investigating this, these are some of the things that actually came our way when looking at an outdoor pool per se. And now, as far as a summer, like last 37 days, it is what it is. I can't do anything. We
have swimming pools all over town, and kids swim in the summer, and you don't hear anything about it. But what about a shade? Is there some kind of option for a shade, and how much does it cost?
I know. One of the things that we've looked at is you've probably seen them over playgrounds, the canvas type shade structures. That's you can definitely do that over this pool. It won't be. Some of the ones that I've seen they're triangular designed, where they're not a complete piece of canvas, but they're pieces that overlap, and that's definitely doable. We have a huge span here, so that's going to be a little bit rise the cost into it. And we didn't look at putting canvas over the pool, but it can happen, and I can come back to you with that. We looked at doing some canvas areas in there to make some littler shade areas, but we didn't do one for the whole pool itself. So, but it is possible. People have done it. It is something that can be done. So you have a canvas cover, and it's all open air underneath it. You're out of the sun.
And your budget amount, I see in the agenda it's up to $4 million. Do you have a closer number than that, or is it going to be right up to it? I mean,
I'll answer that question.
Okay.
This project has not been out to bid. This is just estimates, and we wanted to make sure that we kept the district with a strong footing whenever we do go to bid. for these parts of these projects. I understand that what the engineers and the builder and the architect have done is gone out and grabbed estimates. We do think that the project will be competitive, and that there may be some savings in there, but certainly we don't want to announce those in a public setting because we want to make sure we keep the district in good standing as we go out and try to competitively bid this project.
And Dr. Crawford, there is no bond money being proposed to be used at this time
That's
for
correct.
this project.
That's correct. These are dollars where we've been able to manage our budget throughout the years in a very fiscally conservative way, so that we could, not have to go to the voters for this. Although we don't, certainly that would be something that if you were to go to a bond that happened, we want to be able to protect the fidelity of what the previous bonds were passed for, and that was the construction of academic facilities. So this has been dollars on our maintenance and operations side. It's not any preventative maintenance dollars as well. It's just good old-fashioned savings for an emergency that we have here. And so that's kind of what we're proposing tonight. Certainly if you wanted to move on this, then we could probably look at this as the basic option and then bring back to the board something in addition to what we described here about the canvas shading that could potentially be provided.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Crawford.
Dr. Crawford, would it be possible to do that as part of a competitive bidding process without slowing down this overall project, or would there be some sort of design that would need to be done before
Well, I think
that could be bid out?
I think as architects have described tonight, that the basic needs that we have of getting the pool right, along with some support facility, can be programmed in, and they can go back and during this process go out and gather information to bring back to the board that could be done in alignment with the project going forward, then as an add-on over time. And certainly bring that to the board for y'all to make that decision, that determination.
Mr. President, just I can tell you that although there are some challenges with an outdoor pool, there are also some advantages. So air quality is typically much improved in an outdoor pool versus the facility we have now. And so the parents or the coach, if he were speaking, could talk about allergy and asthma issues related to strenuous physical activity in a closed building with poor ventilation. And so an outdoor pool is, in that respect, much superior to what we have now, or even a facility that would be enclosed but still not fully ventilated. The second is from an operating expense. I know, so this is coming out of special project money. The difference in utility expense for a covered pool where you have to maintain a constant temperature inside the building versus just heating the water on an outdoor pool is dramatically different as well. So savings, future operating expense savings to the district.
Yeah, and one last thing, if you'll see the location of the pool, stop playing still up there. At first, I think when everybody was envisioning this, you have the clicker? There you go. Up top where the green area is, just adjacent to the parking area, across the street from the proposal, was the original site for that location. There was going to be a whole lot of dirt work to be done there, which was going to drive the cost of the project up. And so that's why we actually are proposing it to the location here. I will say, out of just blind luck, if you start thinking about a north-northwest wind, if you start talking about temperature, you've got the actual facility that's there, and you've also got the auto tech building that's there to block the north-northwest winds there as well. So you'll have some barriers, natural barriers or constructed barriers that are already being in place if you're worried about air temperature as well during the winter months.
And fencing around this to keep people out of it, pretty high.
Yes, sir.
For once, I'm for fencing. You've never heard me say that.
That's right.
Similar to the Bergfeld fences that have been put up around the district. We have proposed that will be aesthetically pleasing, but will be able to secure the area as well, similar to what we have around John Tyler and Robert E. Lee.
But about twice as high.
As high as you want.
I have one other comment. It has been stated that maybe the board was afraid. I want everyone to know the board has always wanted and I'm speaking of previous boards, have always wanted a swimming facility for our students. It was not the board, there was a contingency of citizens who said to us they would not approve a bond with a swimming pool or even anything dealing with Rose Stadium. We would love to add that as well, but that's another story. So just know that we have always been proponents of a swimming facility for our students.
All right, if there's no further discussion, I will entertain a motion on the administration's recommendation on item J.
Mr. President, I move that the board support the administration recommendation to authorize the bidding of this project up to $4 million if necessary.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 7-0. All right, we will move on now to our curriculum instruction consent agenda.
Thanks, Travis.
I think we thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate you. We have, we're going to pull item J. That was a pull, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Wasn't a table. All right, anything else to be pulled, guys?
Nothing to be pulled, Mr. President. There is one comment on item G, or excuse me, on item E.
Okay.
It's the accountability monitoring state reconstitution plans for 4 campuses. That was provided in each board member's packet because of improvement required year 2 at Griffin, Douglas, Pete, and Orr elementary schools. We are beginning execution of that plan as we speak. Appreciate the board's review of that, and that has been an ongoing discussion.
Can I pull that? I did have one question on that now that you reminded me.
Pull it.
All right, sorry about that.
Okay, item E will be pulled.
All right. All right, so we need a motion on A, B, C, D, F, G, H, and I.
I so move.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. Is there a second?
Second.
Reverend Mason, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, those are approved. One question on E. I notice here on they're grouped into either resign, retire, reassign, or non-renewal. If they're reassigned, are they going to another TISD campus to do the same job, more or less, that they were doing at their campus? What's the process there to decide whether someone's going to be non-renewed or reassigned, but not left at their own original campus?
Right, I think as we were going through the process, that understanding what reconstitution meant and what some of the options were and what we chose to go forward with, and that was pretty much a rigorous evaluation of the veteran, and when I say veteran, I mean more than 1 year, instructional staff and leadership of the 4 campuses. And certainly as far as the level of concern that we had with each individual teacher, I think is different than saying that one fell swoop that we're going to do X with that whole group. And so there were some that were determined that just needed a change of environment, a reassignment from one grade level to another. They were, deemed to be an adequate teacher, and it might have been on a different campus. We chose to not keep those that actually wound up making it through, if we had concerns about, on the same campus. We needed new leadership, new supervision, new roles and responsibilities, along with potentially new supports. So I think as you go through that list, there was not a one-size-fits-all for every one of them, but we were able to, I think, treat people fair, and at the same time make sure that we are doing the right thing as far as the district student achievement, along with campus student achievement, and protect what we value the most, and that is our students. So to answer your question in a very long, roundabout way, some were reassigned to other campuses, but maybe not in the same position to to where they are not as impactful. There were also some that were reassigned to other campuses that were also moved from a term contract to a probationary contract for this year. One thing with chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code, no one thinks that we have tenured contracts in the state of Texas, but in chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code, you can wind up getting a tenured contract, for lack of a better term. And some of these folks that were tenured were moved to probation as a result of some of the work that we did with reconstitution. So
Okay, so
here you go.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions on that?
Can you just briefly educate me on, you come up with a plan and the state okays it, or how does that part of it work?
Yeah, there's processes that go through that. Once you get to an improvement required campus and then go to year 2 where statute says that you have to reconstitute, the plan is devised, board approves it, and is submitted to the state of Texas. The state of Texas will actually review that plan and approve it at their level, or they'll send it back to us to tell us to change some things about it. There will also be more interaction with the Texas Education Agency because of those year 2 campuses that will include central office staff, the principal of said campus, and potentially a board member or 2. So it goes, we create the plan, board approves it, we submit it to the state of Texas, they look at it, they tell us whether or not they want us to come down there and talk to them about it, or they tell us to change it,
Right.
and then we resubmit it, and then they approve it then. So TEA's been very aware of that and working with them and districts across the state. Once you get schools that are low performing, for lack of a better term, that's what it used to be called. They've had the school resource center for 15 years now that we've gone through. It's the same stuff. So again, it's locally driven, but the state has to approve it.
You said the deadline. When does the state either approve or tell us we need to do something a little different on these plans?
Well, once we get board approval that y'all have seen these plans, it's been presented to y'all, we submit it to them, and it'll be within the next few weeks or so.
Okay. All right.
Before you move on.
Yes.
Dr. Crawford.
Mhm.
I notice here that Griffin had the largest number of staff that was reassigned. Were they reassigned within, you said that, in the school? Or did you push them to another school,
Could have been another location.
another location?
Mhm.
So Griffin might have several new teachers starting this year?
Yes, ma'am. I've visited all of our improvement required campuses and spoken with their staffs. I've got one left. Try to get to them tomorrow. But I can tell you that as a result of this reconstitution, that we have new energy at our campuses, inside of our instructional staff and with leadership. So to answer your question, we didn't say that 10 teachers from every campus need to go. Or need to be reassigned, or leadership needs to go. We really handled each campus in a delicate manner and really individually looked at each campus to see what we needed to do on that campus. Going along with the six newly hired principals that we've placed on campuses, all those were improvement required campuses. So I think there's been a lot to go into this other than just reassigning teaching staff or keeping teaching staff. It's been a look from the leadership all the way down to instructional aides. And also in your reconstitution plan, it's just not people. It's also about curriculum and programs and systems that you've put in place. For instance, at OR, they're going to a modified, departmentalization, to where they're actually going to have one teacher. Let's take grades 3, 4, and 5. Maybe you have one science teacher for each grade, one English teacher for each grade, more of a secondary feel to make sure that the curriculum, that there's fidelity in the curriculum being taught by that one teacher. So if you're just the science teacher, you've got science. If you're just the ELA AR teacher, you are just that teacher. So there's been a lot of adjustments in that as well.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I noticed that OR had probably it seems like it was the biggest impacted as far as 60% what did I see here? 60% staff not returning. Be a whole new look over there.
Sure, we're
Sounds like.
again, we're very excited about Ms. Brown and her leadership, along with the folks that are sticking around at Orr. I mean, we were very serious about this, and we're very serious about this for our community. And we had to go into this without, personal feelings on this. No one likes this process. But when you're talking about student achievement, you're talking about Tyler ISD and its performance and the performance of its individual campuses, you have to take this serious. And if 60% of the staff is new there, we did a heck of a job this summer, in my opinion, of recruiting and finding fresh and energized people so that the campuses will be reinvigorated. One thing we've talked about, and the staffs will tell you that as I've gone around and talked to some of these campuses, and I've talked to our principals, is sometimes tradition will get you beat. So a lot of things about tradition are good. John Tyler winning or playing 15 games a year, getting to the semifinals, that's a good tradition. But there's some things that we need to do differently, and that's to change our attitude and how we execute. And we're just now figuring that out. And I think that that's one thing that we're going to do from here on out, is really take a turn and start looking at our data and making sure that we're using data to drive instruction instead of just playing school. And part of that is the reinvigoration, the energizing of the staff that's on those campuses, along with leadership.
I would like to see at the end of the year how the OR program, what happened with those teachers. Because if you're just teaching science, you have one preparation instead of teaching 4 or 5 subjects.
Yes, ma'am.
That you have to make preparations for.
Sure.
So this will be interesting to see how it.
Yes, ma'am. We don't think it'd be effective pre-K through 2. But as the children matures cognitively, the child matures cognitively,
Okay.
that this is an opportunity for us to do something a little different, so that we can have some fidelity to what's being taught.
I think one of the great things about it is if you talk to these principals, and they are all new principals on these campuses, if they are excited about going to campuses where there has been a reconstruction plan in place, I hope that we're all excited about supporting them in their efforts to bring about a change along with their staff and parents for these students. I believe I sent you an article today that said it takes 3 years to actually start seeing this turnaround. But in talking with these principals, they said we're going to do it this year. So that's a big task and a great goal, and I'm hoping they will. But I know that we need them to know we support them in these efforts, for they have a great challenge. But I really believe with their attitudes, wonderful attitudes, that we're going to see a turnaround in the campus.
Thank you, Reverend Mason. I agree with you. But I will also say that central office is culpable as well.
That's true.
I look them in the eye, and they're all here, a lot of them are here tonight, and saying that we have redesigned our organizational chart to better support our struggling campuses than what I inherited last year. I'm not being critical of that. You can't keep doing the same things and keep getting the same results without trying to lead and make aggressive changes, and that's what we've done with the org chart this year.
Very good. I'll take a motion on item E.
I move that we approve the reconstitution plans for Douglas, Griffin, Orr, and Peak.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion passes. We move down to item J.
Okay, item J is a contract. Had some dates that were incorrect on that. Let me get to that on my iPad. It's on page 96. We've asked to pull this so we could revise the contract to the actual dates to say August 1st, 2015 through August 31st, 2016. Am I correct on that? Okay. Page 98. Did I say 96? Yeah. Page 98, excuse me. Please reference that. There you go.
And 97 as well, isn't it, in both?
Say that again, sir?
Isn't it 97 and 98 too? No, that one's not there.
So this is the memorandum of understanding with the University of Texas at Tyler, partnering with the Ingenuity Center there for our 21st Century Community Learning Center grant that we use at Bolter, Dogan, and now Three Lakes. So again, Roman numeral 1, the term of the MOU begins August 1st, 2015. It should read ends August 31st, 2016.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended recommendation from the superintendent.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that?
Two different agreements.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Superintendent staff report.
Yeah, we brought to the board a few months ago on page 99. Wanted to make an announcement to the board that by giving us the opportunity to go for these E-rate program funds, we want to alert the board and the community and the public that we have been approved. The consideration is for the district, we received just over $1 million for wireless upgrades at Austin, Birdwell, Bonner, Caldwell, Clarkston, Owens, and Ramey elementary schools, along with some new switches. I've heard more about technology the last 24 hours than I care to, but this is a big win for the district. These E-rate dollars are, say this very quietly, government supports, and we'll take them. So it's going to be good for the students of Tyler ISD.
Thank you. All right, any comments, discussion on that before we move on?
Mr. President, I just point out this is another example of the leadership of the district finding creative ways to fund the strategic plan, which is good stewardship.
A lot of success of that is for Mr. John Orball that's over there manning the computers behind you, along with our technology staff and department. Appreciate the hard work that they do.
All right, so next we move to a discussion item on naming.
On page 100 of your packet, at the board workshop, the district administration brought to the board something for an idea for first reading of the naming of certain locations of existing facilities. As each of you know, we have decided to, and rightfully so, named a few areas within some of our newer facilities. We have received some other requests through email, along with some other trustees as well, about the consideration of the future and potentially naming portions of facilities at the board's pleasure. We would like to streamline the process to where we can refer them to something on our website so that they could actually submit that in a formal way, and that we could actually provide the board an opportunity just once a year instead of sporadically throughout the entire year for consideration. We actually have that consideration there on page, is it page 101?
Yeah. 101.
Right behind that. If you'll flip that, Mr. Orball. There you go. So there's the district regulation to accept requests for consideration by the Board of Trustees to name an area of a new or existing part of the facility. We've given you 11 points in there for y'all to review as this is a first reading. Let you go through there, carve that away. And so that when we actually put this in front of the board for you guys to approve this regulation, you'll have some recommendations for us as we come back to actually streamline the process.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any comments from board members on that?
Well, we all know we've had a lot of inquiry, so hopefully this will assist the process and make it easier.
So do I.
I've got one question on this. The date of February 1st, is there any significance to that date? I've had some questions about people selling parts of naming rights to certain parts of a school for just like a year to raise money for that school. And I said, well, that would, any kind of naming would have to fall under this new program, and it's nothing permanent. There's some campuses looking at doing that, but the February 1st application would kind of be in the middle of the year, so didn't know what the...
I think we could put a provision in there that says that this is maybe permanent.
Yeah.
Opportunity. You're talking about something that's
It's
just
you know, for 1 year you can pay...
a creative...
Some way to, creative
way
to make some
to
money.
buy a parking spot or something
Yes.
at the front door. Yes, sir, we'll put something in, Mr. Vaughn, a provision in for, that this is for permanent naming right, or naming of facilities. That'll give the administration some flexibility to, if we want to name it the Reverend Orinthia Mason.
Now, you see, you did that because I was looking at you.
For a year, the Reverend Orinthia Mason press box at Rose Stadium.
I would just love to see a new press box.
Okay, all right. Anyways, yes, we can put
All
a
right.
provision in there. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Anything else, guys?
Future business is convocation tomorrow. We'll see y'all bright and early to wrap up our week of being a team of 8, or wrap up our summer of being a team of 8. Been around you guys a lot this summer. So convocation tomorrow. Hey, that's a good thing.
Sound like you're tired.
No, I'm ready for students to get here. I'm an educator at heart, and so it's time for the kids to get here for school. Convocation tomorrow. It's going to be a great day to celebrate Tyler ISD and get us started. Then we also have the first day of school on August the 24th. September 3rd through 5th is the Trinity Mother Frances Football Classic in your program. That was last year's date, I believe. So the 3rd through the 5th is the football classic. Chapel Hill and White House on Thursday night, I believe. And then Lee has the Friday night game. John Tyler has the Saturday night game. It's a true East Texas matchup. Lee's got Lufkin on Friday, and John Tyler has Longview. So, man, that brings me back to my childhood years right there.
Slugfest.
You may see Mr. Bergfeld suit up on Friday night. September 8th is the board workshop. We'll have a legislative update also provided by Moat Casey to get you in compliance with what the statute says, that you must have a legislative update every year after legislative session. And then September 17th is our regular board meeting. That's all I have.
All right. Take a motion to adjourn if no one else has any other items.
I move that we adjourn.
All right, second.
Oh, whoa, was that you?
Oh, did we gotta get that?
Let's hear that.
All right. Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed or adjourned?